In 1995, O.J. Simpson was found not guilty. 2 years later, a civil jury found him liable and ordered him to pay damages. Same story, same name. Two completely different outcomes. So how can a person be not guilty and still be legally responsible? Most people think a verdict ends the story, but court isn't one single game. There are two systems with two sets of rules. And once you understand them, you'll start seeing two verdicts everywhere. Here's the simplest way to think about it. In a criminal trial, the government is trying to punish someone with prison or worse. In a civil trial, it's usually a person or a family seeking accountability, often through money damages. So even when the facts come from the same event, the purpose is different. And that changes everything. The real reason those outcomes can split is the standard of proof. In criminal court, the bar is extremely high. Beyond a reasonable doubt. That doesn't mean beyond all doubt, but it does mean the jury has to be very close to certain. In civil court, the bar is lower. Preponderance of the evidence, which basically means more likely than not. Criminal court asks, are we sure enough to punish? Civil court asks, is it more likely than not that this person is responsible? Those are two different questions. Imagine a scale. In civil court, if the evidence tips the scale just slightly, even 51% to 49%, that can be enough. But in criminal court, the scale has to tip far more. Not 51%. More like, we're basically sure. So it's possible for a jury to say, we're not sure enough to convict. And later another jury can say, it's more likely than not. Same evidence, different bar. A lot of people ask, isn't this double jeopardy? No, double jeopardy protects you from being tried twice by the government for the same crime. But a civil case isn't the government trying to punish you. It's a separate legal action, usually brought by private individuals, focused on responsibility and damages. So the system allows both outcomes to exist because they're not the same kind of trial. Another misconception is this. People think a jury is deciding what really happened, but the jury is answering a very specific question. In criminal court, did the prosecution prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt? In civil court, is it more likely than not that this person is responsible? That's why a not guilty verdict can happen even when the story still feels unresolved. And the word liable also confuses people. Liable doesn't mean criminally guilty. It means the jury believes the person is legally responsible under civil law. That responsibility usually comes with damages, money meant to compensate for harm. So the outcome isn't prison, it's financial accountability. Different consequence, different threshold, different verdict. At this point, you might think, that sounds broken. But the logic is this. A criminal conviction is the strongest punishment the state can impose. So society demands a higher level of certainty. Civil court is often about compensation, not prison. So the system allows a lower threshold because the consequences are different. That's why not guilty does not automatically mean innocent. It means the prosecution did not meet the criminal standard. The verdict is about the threshold, not a perfect statement of what happened. Now add public attention. When a case becomes famous, people treat it like a scoreboard. They want one winner, one loser. But courts don't work like that. Sometimes the most important part isn't what people remember. It's the rules, the evidence, and what the jury was actually asked to decide. Once you understand this, you'll notice it everywhere. You'll see cases where criminal charges fail, but a civil case still succeeds. Or someone is never convicted, but still loses everything in civil court. Because proof isn't one fixed number. It's a threshold. So here's the real question. If one court says not guilty and another says liable, which one feels like justice to you? Because in the legal world, those two outcomes can both be true. Same case, two standards, two verdicts.